Hello, everybody. That's part 3, Goa Dancing with the Speakers. So I came back after my first Goa trip, and then listening to the Goa tapes which Marita brought along, I just knew I had to go back. I staying in Germany was a waste of time, so I got all my money together. So it was in January 1986. I got another 3 months unpaid holiday and flew off at the beginning of January 1986. This time I knew where I was going and was keen to explore Bombay. No, let's get a bit closer here. A bit more. 2 chaps whom I got to know on the plane, again, was an old jumbo, said they would join me on our tour through Bombay. I had read about the Gaukla market at Chetwari Junction, where you could buy stolen goods, and it was a bit more interesting than the usual tourist joints. So we got a room, stashed our luggage there, and got on the streets. Nobody knew where that junction was. Then a taxi driver said he would not take us there. It's too dangerous. Even more determined, we asked till somebody finally told us. I've never seen a junction, a place like that. 5 to 6 streets joined at the mad place with an endless stream of people, rickshaws, tuk-tuks, street food trolleys, beggars, wild kids, cows, etc. passing through. We found this coffee shop right overseeing the place, slightly elevated. This was our place. We got in, ordered chai, and lapped up the scenery at our feet. In Europe, you would never, I have seen a few European towns, you would not see a place like this. You can be sure of that. There was something surreal about this place, somehow lawless and exotic at the same time. The speed, everything moving was amazing. Being absorbed in watching the raw life of India unfolding before our eyes, we didn't realize that the cafe filled with rather dodgy-looking folk, men only, and the atmosphere was not so good anymore. We were the focal point of some very dark-looking guys and got to a point where we didn't know what would happen next. Not to talk about what would happen once we left the still reasonable safe area of the cafe. What to do? It was clear they would follow us wherever we'd go, and then a little argument, some fighting, and we would be in big trouble. Below the cafe was an Indian DJ who sold tapes, most of it Indian music. But suddenly, a cool track, almost like Goa style, came on, and I knew what to do. I jumped up, went down, and started to bargain loudly with the guy for the price. Giving a good barter, I knew the watching gang guys realized I was familiar with Indian lifestyle and customs. That was important, as the 2 blokes I had with me from Austria radiated the very opposite and appeared to be easy prey for this gang. I insisted on a very low price for the tape, which also should demonstrate that there was not much cash to get from us in case. Then I shouted in German to the 2 to get out at once and follow me no matter what. Before the Indian mob could react, we were running into the middle of the Chetwari Junction, dodging all the cars coming towards us from all sides. We managed to stay on the middle lane of that big road leading back to where we had come from. Meanwhile, the Indians were in action and running, following us on the pavement, but could not get to us due to all the traffic. We continued to run till they got tired from following us. Somebody called us from a side street, but upon entering that street, we immediately were threatened and told to leave. No more sightseeing here, we thought, and ran till we reached a safer area. People changed and the atmosphere was back to normal. Even an Indian pop street concert could be enjoyed and make up for the most stressful chai I ever had in India. Glad to have not been robbed. We arrived in Anjuna, where the boys had booked a room and I could book another room in the same house. That's when we met Alex and a few other crazy girls. Well, party life was back on, and I couldn't wait for the first Berliner to throw in. It was great to meet people I knew from the year before, and slowly I got a bit of an idea of who were the real long-term hippies and freaks. Then there was Fernando from Brazil. He invited me to his hacienda in Candolim. So one morning after a party, I walked down the beach from Kalangut to Candolim. Leaving the busy Kalangut shore behind me, I found myself alone, walking along the gentle waves rolling onto the beach. Nobody was there. No shops, no tourists, no Indians, no saleswomen, no begging kids, just peace. And long, high sand dunes right along the beach. I wondered what was behind them. So I climbed up the 6 meter high sand dune and arrived at the top. I was speechless at the beauty I beheld in front of me. Enclosed in further sand dunes, ordered in a big square, there was a palm tree plantation with the palm leaves only as high as 1 to 2 meters. And in the middle of it all, a little hut, an Indian guy who watered the plants, and a little dog yapping away. It was like paradise. The wind moved the palm trees and the leaves, and they had made this soothing sound, which combined with the perfect body temperature of the air, the blue sky, the blazing sun, and the happy laid-back business of the Indian boy and his dog, let me forget time and everything else. Arriving at Fernando's, I felt like being hosted by the rich. The whole beautiful, comfortable house was just for him and occasional guests of his. After a refreshing shower, luxury class, compared to my bucket of water under the tree, I could experience Fernando's cooking skills. Superb. The next day, we were the only ones at the beach as far as the eye could see. Friends would pop in and out, and I got to know more people. I met Mickey and JP for the first time. She was this hot chick from Sweden, and he had the darkest eyes I've ever seen. That helped to stay away from JP, who turned out to be the coolest girl of the season. There was nothing like having moss dawn ecstasy raging out of the speakers, blasting the place, and dancing with cool chicks like her on the dusty, crazy dance floor. Barefoot, wild, unlimited. When I finally managed to get back in contact with her after probably 20 years, she wrote, "Ha ha ha, hi Misha. Oh man, how many times you've crossed my mind. Of course I remember you. I'm so happy that you connected. I could never forget you, my brother, an epic dancer always, and you know how much I love to dance." Right, ha, great memories. On her birthday, she gave a party where all the main DJs were honored to play in turns. Not many people managed this, as there appeared to be a bit of a rivalry as to who was number one. So far, I knew Michael D'Souza who was very good, but he hardly played parties this season. Then there was Barney, who got all the music from this Swiss pal named DJ Babu, who was just the master of all DJs. He had the most amazing songs nobody ever knew. There was Dr. Bobby, who had some extraordinary songs, but had no feeling for running a party. And with his chaotic, horrible rubbish mixed with good songs, got on many people's nerves. But to his benefit, I must say, he had one of the most amazing songs ever. Don't Say That's Just for White Boys, from Way of the West. Then there was Thilo, German DJ from Berlin, who was strong with New Order. He was very cool and laid back, but didn't have near as a tenth of what Babu or Laurent played. Laurent, the French champion, was very close behind Babu, if not as good. Still remember when he played Euphoria just at the best moments. Then there was Mackie and Paulino, who were keen to get into the DJing, if they were not too stoned. And finally, there was Italian Stefano, the youngster who had virtually nothing to start with, but he had a beautiful girlfriend, Abia, and the gift of collecting the best tracks. Nobody knew how he did it. Parties after parties came, and Gunsmoke was still one of the cult songs of the season. And there was nothing hotter than having Swedish JP round dancing to this far-out tune. I was madly turned on by this hot blonde chick, but she had her guy Mickey, who did not just have very dark eyes, but a very dark character altogether. You would not want to mess with him. Later on, we met JP and Mickey in Kathmandu and even shared the same hotel. I got to know Dennis, the black beauty from London, the same time as I got to know Danny, who hung around her as much as I. We both fancied the same girl. Dennis was lovely, but there were always too many people around her. Valentine's Day came and she threw a party at her own. I didn't go, as she never invited me to come. I was gutted, especially as later on she told me that she was waiting for me to come over all night. Tough luck, bad move. I comforted myself with getting to know some other girls. Even the German girl I saw Eve, the German girl, and soon after Suvicha from Thailand, as far as I remember. Both nice girls, but it wasn't love. I got to know Michele, the funny Italian guy who hung out with us at the parties. There were people who had to be careful. You had to be careful with, and others you could trust. Leila belonged to the second group, and she told me of a free room in a dream location, so I moved there. It was somewhere at the back of Vagator, near Chapora, and when I viewed the room, I could not believe the view from the window. A sea of palm trees below, and behind them the Chapora Bay, with a single huge tree on the beach leading up to Arambol. Vincent Mendoza, the house owner, was hopelessly into drink, and the family which lived in the room next to me was pretty poor as well. To generate some extra money, I thought I could get into dope business, but gave up after I did a bad deal with dope, which was supposed to be first class, but turned out to be cheap junk. Also, I was much more interested in the Goa sound, which this time I would be seriously determined to get a hold of. I had with me a double tape machine for copying tapes from Sony. Oh yeah, double tape machine for copying tapes, but it was a Walkman, the size of a Walkman. Can you believe it? It was the most amazing work of Japanese sound technique and could even record the live sound via stereo microphone as well. It didn't take long for my house neighbors to realize I was in possession of such a priceless object. And one day after arriving back in the house, I noticed that my double deck Walkman tape had gone missing. I searched the whole room, nothing. Then I realized that the neighbors would have access to my room if they could unlock the common door we had. I gave the owner an ultimatum of 24 hours before I would call the police, and lo and behold, the next evening the tape deck was back in my room. Very unusual for Goa thieves, but lucky for me. As I got to know more of the Goa freaks, I really felt most comfortable with Yoshi's mom, Claudia. I think she was from Berlin, and being a mom, she had just a caring, responsible attitude, which was rather rare amongst most of the people around here. Though tripping as everybody else on the various parties, she had a sense of what was right and what was wrong. One day, as we all hung out in Primrose for dinner, she spoke about the next party, that she wanted to do something special, some decoration. As I knew where to get the fluorescent paint, I offered to help. She would get the material, I'd get the paint, and we met with a few others to get stuck into the artwork. We got a number of sheets painted and even started to paint rocks and trees around the supposed to be dance floor. Surely it was something somewhere in Vagator, and everybody was looking forward to the night. Party was great. The fluorescent paintings were mind-blowing in the UV light, and everybody had a great time. Excuse me. Even the DJ had an awesome poster behind his table. A fluorescent red lightning symbol on white background. However, in the morning hours, a pitiful sight sobered most of us up, down quite a bit. An Iranian soldier had ripped down the biggest painting and wrapped it around his waist, sitting in the middle of the dance floor in the midst of collected rubbish and playing with the rubbish, totally unaware of what he was doing and what was going on around him. His facial expression was worrying, total out of his head, close to insanity, and very unpredictable. Nobody would dare to stop him, as he could turn dangerous. Another one who didn't make it? I asked myself. I realized that there was not just light in Goa, but also darkness, and that quite heavily. One evening, we were invited to this exclusive cocaine party. Great, we thought, as none of us had cash for cocaine, as it was much cheaper. But why not try cocaine? Finally, but it didn't take long before we realized where we had landed. Though in Goa, where even the nights are pleasant with warm temperature, it felt icy that night. People sat around the dance floor and would snort their cocaine on their own. Nobody would talk to anybody outside their clique. It was horrible, cold, impersonal, even plainly unfriendly. This was surely the worst party I've ever attended. People were completely dehumanized through their cocaine habit. Selfishness was a dominating feature in this behavior of these sad ego trippers, nothing to ever be missed. Obviously, there were different circles depending on what drugs you would take, what financial status you had, where you stayed, etc. On one party, this crazy flamboyant guy would arrive. He seemed to be well known and a sense of excitement was around him. He possibly just arrived straight back from America, where he got the latest stuff, MDMA, and spread the good news that now they developed versions of MDMA which could be changed so quickly that the latest drug version would always be ahead of the latest law enforcement against it, thus rendering the use of MDMA and its endless versions as not prosecutable. Wow. The way drugs were part of the normal daily routine in Goa was astonishing. Once I stopped over in a beach shack in Anjuna, walking back from an Anjuna party. While I had a drink, I had time to look around the fairly empty shack. It was still early, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning, so not many people around. The waiter, an Indian youth, possibly not older than 16 years of age, was sitting at the back of the shack and kept himself busy folding tiny little envelopes. One after the other was finished and put into a little bag. I asked him what he was doing, and he just replied, dividing the brown sugar heroin into small portions and filling the little envelopes to get ready for selling it. There was no secretive attitude, no worries. It was the most normal thing for this guy to pass on quite a heavy drug like that. Anyway, back at Vagator, we had a small but unforgettable party. Babu mastered the sound, and it was pure ecstasy to listen to his tracks. Rock the Box, Formula One, Don't Look Now, Planet 9, Abu Dhabi, Gunsmoke, Spear, Doppelganger, you name it. These were the moments when it was just a pure delight to take in this